Welcome back to Recoup. Today is Monday, November 3rd, 2025. I'm Sweets. This is Sid. Today is Monday. It's our Monday check-in where we talk about what we're going to be delivering this week. To get started, I am working on fixing our scheduled actions, hopefully soon to be renamed tasks, using trigger.dev. So far today I've been wrapping my mind around what the tasks are and how to be building with them. Luckily, inside of trigger.dev's docs, they have this ability to ask questions. So I was able to just click on the chat and type in a prompt about what we wanted to do, and it talked me through exactly. I said, I want to be able to let my customers create tasks which run on a consistent cron. Each task functions the same. There's a prompt that the customer gives us, which is the task that they want, whether that's look at my YouTube videos and make a thumbnail, or scan my email and send me a text, or look at the latest news in hip hop that occurred on this day in history and send me an email. That's the prompt, and they give us a cron, and we want to be able to then have that hit our chat endpoint to be able to run a task. So it looks like what we need to do is define a task, which is just going to be a generic customer prompt task. So the entire database that we have on these prompts, it's going to operate the same. The task is the same. The task is execute the function, pull the prompt from the database based off of the prompt ID, and then hit our chat endpoint with the customer, the prompt, the artist ID, the other info that we'll get from the database. So our database is going to hold we already have all this set up. So our database is just going to keep holding this data. We'll be able to get rid of some of this, like updated at and created at. We won't need it anymore. We can rely on trigger.dev, and it'll just be prompt is important, account ID is important, artist ID is important, and we'll use this ID as the reference to that. So that way, when the task runs, it queries this ID in our database. Then it gets back, okay, here's the prompt I need, and then it hits our database. So first thing, create the general task. And then what I'll do is I'll iterate over all of the tasks that we already have in our database, and then read the cron from the database, and then send those up as schedules to execute the task for trigger.dev. I've already got trigger.dev running locally. So I've already been working on creating the task, hitting the recoupable endpoint. So I'm going to get this working. And they'll start showing up here inside of our Recoup chat inside of trigger.dev, so that way we can monitor it, see uptime, see the performance and all of that. High level, how I'm thinking of going through it is first create this task, which is what I'm working on right now, then iterate over every single record inside of the database, get those loaded into trigger.dev. That should just fix the scheduled actions. After that, I'm going to start updating our front end app to be referencing trigger.dev. So I don't know if the Supabase is important. The most important things are going to be updating our scheduled actions. I'm going to refactor that tab to be tasks just to simplify it. Then making it so that the tasks tab shows my tasks, and updating it so that we're reading from trigger.dev instead of from our worker. So I'm a little bit scrambled because I'm still trying to get my head around all this. By the end of day today, I expect scheduled actions to be fixed, and I expect us to have started updating the majority of the app to using the new architecture instead of using our worker. Sid, any questions you have on your side before you want to take over and talk about what you're working on this week?
Biggest question is, previously we fixed the issue when scheduled tasks were like auto duplicating themselves. And I want to just make sure we include that in the migration so that doesn't happen again. I don't remember exactly how we fixed it, but yeah, just flagging that because it was a huge issue when it happened. Oh, you're muted. Wait. Are you muted? You're muted. Can I hear you?
No, you're right. I was muted. That's a good call. Yeah, it should already be in there at the core API level, but I'll just make sure that's a good thing for me to note and to just double check that it is in place, so that way we're not spinning up infinity of these.
Cool. All right, sweet. On my end, well, wait, and then once you're done with that, the main focus is the refactor of agents, right?
Yep, get the 3 agents in place of artist agent. I just wrote those tasks out as well. I'll share that really quick. So those will be, so I'm working on trigger.dev right now, tasks v2, then do a quick fix of our Brain Trust GitHub actions. That should be a very quick fix. And then take AI SDK tools, make an agent for an artist agent that's responsible for creating artists, deleting artists, linking socials to artists, getting the socials that are linked to artists, anything that's artist management related. A socials agent that's responsible for scraping Instagram, scraping TikTok, scraping Twitter, getting YouTube, all those tools that are related to different social platforms. And a research agent that is responsible for the web search, deep research, anything that is research related. And those will be our first jumping off points to see if Sid's prompt that he gave me was making sure that Sid has higher reliability, that when he sends a prompt, he is getting the correct tool chains getting called. So get these 3 agents up first, and then from there, iterating to add more agents, modifying the agents we have, and just building on this new mental model of, instead of chucking everything into a massive tool list and then expecting the LLM to parse through that massive list, start to group these tools together into agents, so that way we route the hierarchy of the chat a little bit better. Does that answer your question of the agents part in my priority of tasks?
It is. I have a question about how you're thinking through the agent build. So, well, actually, I think I understand why you're going this route, which is like start with like smaller agents, don't mess with our system prompt and multi-agent architecture yet until we have all of the agents we need as tool or like organized, and then switch it. Is what it seems like the route that you're going, versus separating our system prompt and instead of creating a user agent that talks with the user and an orchestrator agent or triage agent, and then building out that way. Is there what is the reason why you're going this route instead of the alternative route?
I likely missed the triage agent. Triage agent is a prerequisite to these. That way, the triage agent is going to have handoffs to these 3 agents, and then just an array of every other tool that is not currently grouped into one of these 3 agents. That's going to be the first point. And then from there, if we determine a chat agent is needed before the triage agent, we can build it there. But triage agent, I did miss. I think I'm calling it a router agent. I think that's easier to
or orchestrator or whatever you want.
So this will have all tools plus agents. So any tool, agents plus any tool not in an agent. And then as we start to, we've taken a subset of the tools, put them into this agent, subset of the tools into this agent. The router agent still has this bulk of tools. So from that remaining bulk of tools, after we have these 3 agents, we can then say, let's take out this subset, put it in this agent, take this subset. And the goal is reduce this router agent so that it doesn't have any tools and it only has agents to hand off to.
Correct.
That was a good thought.
I would add to the AI SDK tools to-do list to spend an hour or 2 before you dive into this, going over the research stuff that I sent you. Just a refresher to make sure you're not forgetting anything. Or if you see something the way Pokey's doing it, where you're like, that's a great idea. And it might change the way you decide to tackle this. And I consolidated everything, so you have it all there. You don't need to do a lot, but just re-updating yourself. That's all.
Sounds good.
All right, cool. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and the triage agent is perfect. All right, or router agent, whatever you want to call it. On my end, let me share. On my end, I'm finishing up a. Can you see my screen? Sweet.
Yes, sir. I see your screen.
Cool. On my end, I'm finishing up a album cover to visualizer workflow, where you input a prompt along with an album cover, and it turns it into a moving visualizer in both 9:16 and 16:9.
Awesome.
From here, I need to also include the ability to add an MP3, so I can put a song on here and take the 5-second visualizer and duplicate it for the length of the song. So then it can output, album cover in, MP3 in, simple prompt about what you want, and then it outputs you a full-length visualizer that you can use for YouTube, social posts, whatever. Once I have that done, I'm going to move this into Recoupable by just kind of walking through these same nodes and same models that I have here, but kind of just getting it done here first so I know exactly what models to use, and et cetera. And then that will be a great start of like content, a specific content agent. Or actually, I'm going to stop sharing for a second and talk to you about, like, in this scenario, would this be should we make a content creation agent that has a tool chain that goes to this specific workflow? Like based on our new infrastructure, how do you see the build out of like this specific task?
First question I have is, does Weavy have an API?
It doesn't.
I like that you're building it out over there first. It allows you to run without immediately lagging us down with architecture questions. Do they have an API?
But they
don't.
got
So
bought by
it's possible
Figma.
for us to compose on top.
They just got bought by Figma, and Figma has an API. So I would imagine that's coming eventually.
But today, this week, they do not.
No.
Okay.
But FAL also has like a workflow builder. It's a little less intuitive, but we can build the same. I can bring it into FAL and do the exact same workflow. And FAL, we have a FAL API, so we could just build the thing in FAL itself.
I'm leaning. My current mental model is, let's push as much of tech into existing platforms that do it well as possible. That, I think, will allow us to continue to run fast until we hit the edge of like, oh, Weavy doesn't have an API. Okay, well, now let's build it in. But if we can still do it in FAL, why pick Weavy instead of doing it immediately in FAL?
Weavy was easier UI to just build. It's just faster, more intuitive. FAL is like a little more technical and like requires just like a little bit more. It's just like a little harder to use. So Weavy is just I could get from 0 to 1 quicker in Weavy than I could in FAL. Once I spend some more time on Weavy, on FAL, I'll probably end up starting there next time. The big question is, okay, so like move it to FAL, and then from FAL, by the time I move it to FAL, we'll be able to have a better understanding of like, do we turn it into a tool to call in Recoupable to go to the FAL workflow? And then like, what does that look like? What agent has that tool call in it? Is it a specific FAL thing, or is it like, is it a content agent that has the ability to call the album visualizer tool that runs this specific workflow?
This sounds like a well-encapsulated task. Yeah, like this is one single tool, and the tool contains this entire workflow that you've defined. So we'll likely need a tool that calls the API endpoint. So we either, I see either two options. Either you build this in FAL, and then in FAL, we build a tool. When the tool gets called, it calls FAL AI, and then we show in the UI however we want to show that FAL AI workflow is running and the status updates. Or your other idea of, I already see all the model calls. We build that as a task inside of trigger.dev, and then the tool calls. Yeah. So when they call the tool, it triggers the trigger.dev task. And then same thing, we figure out how we want to surface those UI updates. So I think those are the two things where the bulk of the build is going to be. I love what you're building right now. Make it work. Show us the prototype. Lay out exactly what you want this workflow to be. and then we decide what's the easiest place to maintain that.
Got
Is it you being able to update it inside of Fal AI, where you can go in and drag and drop in a what you see is what you get interface? Or is it you writing out, these are the steps, you vibe code it or tell me in trigger.dev in a task? In either case, once we have either trigger.dev or Fal AI workflow via an API, build it into a tool. Tool
Yeah.
gets called via the chat.
All right, cool. I got another call. I just realized, so I'm going to jump.